Okay, so continuing on with the botanical extracts playlist, we started out with, kind of defining a botanical extract, what the difference is between botanical extracts and essential oils. That's number one. Go check it out. In number two, we talked about essentially how the plant matter and the good stuff is extracted from the plant matter, different forms of the extracts. That's video number two. Check that one out. We're going to be going around the internet and finding the best place to source botanical extracts, and I will tell you more about that in just a minute. But before I do, hello, I am Mrs. Soap and Clay. Let's make stuff. How's it going, Sudsers? Welcome back to the channel. You are at Soap and Clay, where we make all the soapy things. Wherein, as I said, we are going to go around the internet and talk about the different websites that you can find botanical extracts on, the things that I like, the things that I don't, and really what you should be looking for, especially if you're new to using botanical extracts in your cosmetics and soap making journeys. So that's what we're going to do right now. Let's, go to the part and do the thing, even though I'm just going to click a button on the scene so we can go to the websites and, explore the internet together. Okay, so first up we have Brambleberry, and I don't ever like really shitting on Brambleberry, but I seem to do a lot of it recently, and unfortunately it doesn't feel like they're getting any better. So this is going to be an example of a website that I do not recommend finding your extracts on, and I'm going to tell you why in just a second, as soon as I get my keyboard over here. Now, I think for ease of all of this, we're going to use the exact same extract across any website that we look at, just so we can look at the differences between the information that is given as well as price point and all the jazz. So for this green tea extract, as you see here, we have water soluble green tea extract and green tea extract, which I'm going to assume is then not water soluble, otherwise it would say so, right? Now, with all of this, it says it's used to create stuff. That's cool. Just a little goes a long way. I love that. Ingredients, you have CCTs and your extract from your tea leaf. So first up with your CCTs here, that is essentially going to tell you that this is an oil extraction. So yes, there is a difference. Awesome. Good to know. And as you can see with the ingredients and where it is going to be primarily your oil as well as your extract. It's going to be common in the majority of extracts that you find. Now, with this, as we can see, there's no other information. We've got usage instructions that says, just a little. Just a little will do, just use a little. 1 to 6% of total weight. Okay, that's fun. That's great. I love that for me. How about some documents? Maybe we have some documents that have some sort of information. Let's check out your data reports. All right, awesome. Reviews, I really don't care. Q&As, I also really don't care, because those are going to be silly places to find good information in most websites. So it does say it is recommended for cold process for melt and pour and bath bombs. It's lip safe. Okay, great. So what do we learn from this? We learn that it is an oil-based extract. It is oil soluble, although it does not specifically state that. You have to know what a CCT is. Hope is that you do know what a CCT is. However, it is not specifically mentioned. And for somebody who is getting into this for the very first time, it would be helpful to know that, Price point, it's $5 for an ounce. All right, cool. Awesome. Love that. And then looking at the water soluble, we are having essentially more of the same. So we have the ingredients, so water, glycerin, the green tea extract, sodium benzoate, potassium sorbate, and citric acid. Now, extra ingredients are included in this water extraction because it's water. And so they have to put in their own preservative system. That does not mean that you can shirk your preservative system in yours. You definitely still need to put in your preservative within all of this so we don't get any nasty rotting. It's up to 6% in one and up to 7% in the other. That means that this usage rate means nothing. And they really, if they were being smart, they would just standardize that across both so as to not confuse people. But anyway, we have $4.99 for an ounce and $44.99 for 16 ounces. So that's basically the marker that we are going to use for the rest of the extracts that we look at from these other websites, because Brambleberry is notoriously overpriced. So if you're looking at something on a different website that costs more than Brambleberry, I would take pause, just first and foremost. But with that, this is not a good website for me for extracts, especially not for somebody who is looking to get information on extracts for the very first time. It's a little bit too difficult to find all the information. It's better if it's spelled out right in front of you. I would prefer to see an actual, an SDS list that you can, get to, as well as really good application instructions, really pointing out what kinds of things you can use this in. Something better than you only need a few drops of this extract to add something special to water-based products like toner, moisturizer, and body wash. I would like the information to be more blown out, just for research purposes and for, peace of mind as a buyer. So for me, Brambleberry is a miss. Okay, now a website that I like quite a bit would be New Directions Aromatics, because they do have such good information as far as not only within each of the product listings, but also if you just do a little search for extracts. And since we're doing specifically green tea, let's go to green tea extract. Okay, so they have good information not only for all of the extracts that they have, but they also have really good information within the product listing themselves, as you can see here. So we have, first up, we're looking at 3.3 ounces for $8. So it's quite a bit cheaper. And if we look at the, 1 pound thing, $25. Green tea extract, again, this is a powder, so this is actually making it a little bit more complicated. Standardization here, minimum 10% of the polyphenols. Now, polyphenols are the things that are going to be found within the green tea itself. Knowing that isn't necessarily important when you are crafting your cosmetics and your skincare. I like to know it. I like to dive deep into all of the things, so you have your tannins and your flavonoids and all the things that exist within your plant matter that are going to do stuff to your skin. I like knowing that information. It's not super necessary if you're formulating cosmetics, but it's nice to know for sure. And it's nice that they have it there. So that means that there's essentially, it's a 10% concentration of the polyphenols, of the good stuff in the green tea that is going to provide the benefits that you were looking for. Now, with the information here, it says that green tea extract is used internationally in cosmetics as a rich source of antioxidants. So that's the polyphenols right there. And then you've got your information, vitamin C, vitamin E. It sounds like a song. And, okay, cool. Reduce the signs of aging, environmental factors, all the things. Okay, awesome. The color may vary from batch to batch. Okay, awesome. We have tincture instructions, how to use, as well as solubility chart. So this is a very well blown out website, because you have all this information right here ready to go. You have your technical documents and your certificate of analysis, quality and regulatory info, solubility chart, and your kosher and vegan certification. I love that. That's all great. And if you go to the product details here, also looking at the how to use. So yeah, if you click on the how to use, we go to all about green tea extract, and there is more information than you could ever possibly want. This is a wealth of information for all of your studies at newdirectionsaromatics.com. All of your research, all of your studies, anything that you could ever realistically possibly want from any cosmetic extract that you would probably ever want to use can be found at this website. This is why I love it. They have really blown out, very detailed information for sure. So it's talking about how the extract is formed, how they use it in cosmetics, how it's used medicinally, history of it, how old it is, all of the things. The history is not super accurate, but that's okay. Green tea extract uses. There you go. Look, you can do a face mask recipe. You can do, oh, look, there's a lip balm. There's a body scrub. There's a bath blend. It has instructions for every single application that you might be interested in, which I find to be very, very informative for sure. It's really creating that sense of confidence within the product itself that they have blown out all of this information. And Then it has a nice little cheat sheet here for the benefits of the, basically summarizing all the benefits from above. And then the contraindications for the botanical extract. Now, this is a very interesting thing that they include. For the most part, this stuff is not topical. It is going to be usually internal, but it does, all with all of this, definitely pay attention to it. Contraindications are very important. And so, having this information at your fingertips so you can read it, that's a good idea. Now, just generally looking at New Directions, you see all of their different extracts and how they exist. So the liquid or, the powdered versions. You can see it all here. And as you can see, it's a pretty detailed list. There's quite a bit. They have a lot of extracts. So I would say that you're probably going to find what it is that you're looking for within this. Now, another interesting thing that I quite enjoy within their listings is the solubility chart that they have, is this botanical extract solubility chart. I think this is a really handy thing to print out, and it tells you if it's soluble in water, partially soluble, etc. and so forth, for realistically all of the extracts that they have. And I think that that's delightful. So I would say for New Directions, very, very good option. This is a good choice if you're looking for your extracts. One of the problems, though, that we're going to come into contact with this is going to be, well, it's powder, right? And let's say you want to work with only liquids. So where do we go then? Well, let's see what Making Cosmetics has in the form of a green tea extract. And look at that, they do have a liquid version, so let's check that out. So, description, we have the extract is made from the evergreen leaves, okay. And it's actually talking about the distillation, so I approve of that. 5% of the extract dissolved in water and glycerin, okay. So that does actually say that it's not as potent as the one that we were just looking at from the other website. And then it has the benefits here, the use, it's use as is, typical use level 0.1 to 2% for external use only. Applications, anti-aging formula, sun care and after sun care products, and cellulite treatments and hair products. Sure, Jan. And what does it say specifically that this is? So in the details, we can see here that it's glycerin, water, and the green tea leaf extract, as well as potassium sorbate and sodium benzoate. So again, you're going to be able to tell based on that, because there's water in it, that this is a water-soluble extract. And it has, again, your preservation system. That does not mean that you don't need to put in your own, because you certainly do. And also it has a manufacturing process, not animal tested, GMO free. I love it. Okay, love to see all of that. And then for the documents, we have the fact sheets, the COA, the recipes, which is another good thing as well. Now let's look at Making Cosmetics and their prices. My drop down isn't working. Let's see what I have. If I look at the drop down on my phone, it says that it is $11.40 for 2 fluid ounces of this, and $34 for 8 fluid ounces. So it's coming in at around the prices of a Brambleberry. So yeah, the Making Cosmetics can get a little pricey, but for Making Cosmetics and the information that they have, it's definitely better than Brambleberries. Not as good as New Directions Aromatics, and again, sort of a similar price point as to Brambleberry. So when it's all said and done, if I were looking at a green tea extract, I would go New Directions Aromatics. Why would I go New Directions Aromatics? One, because they have a pretty extensive list of extracts generally. And so I like that, so I can get all of my extracts from basically one place. Brambleberry does not have a great selection of extracts, just kind of historically, and a lot of times they like to just remove them without telling people, and that's annoying, and replace them with other things. Making Cosmetics has a decent selection of extracts, certainly, but again, you're hitting more of those Brambleberry price points. Really, I usually only use Making Cosmetics for like 4 products that I buy, and it's not extracts. Now, with the New Directions Aromatics, I know we're working with a powder in that particular instance, but as you could see, there was a lot of different liquid varieties for other extracts. Now, for the powder, I'm still thinking it's the better idea to go the powdered version over the water version. Here's why. One, they're saying that it's a 10% with the antioxidants, so we already know the potency. 2, for these formulations, when we're dealing with a powdered version, you're really going to be taking that powdered version and you're going to be putting, an amount of water into it to hydrate it before you include it into your product. Usually at least at a 50-50, So half of your dry ingredients and half of your liquid before then weighing it out and including it with that 0.5% to 2%, formulation within your recipe itself. So I think you're going to be using less powder in the long run than you would with the liquid version. But that's just me. Obviously, dealing with the powdered version, it does mean that it is not oil soluble. That does mean that if you are going to be putting it into an oil-based product, you're going to need an emulsifier to make sure that it mixes in, and a preservative because you are now incorporating water into something that otherwise would not have it. But if for the most part what you're formulating are things like, face masks or body mists or moisturizers or lotions, that primarily water, yeah, that's good to go. Absolutely. So take it with some hot water, dissolve it, let it do its thing. I have actually used the green tea extract from New Directions Aromatics and have successfully dispersed them within an oil for the same reason I was telling you before. Typically, the teas don't tend to have a lot of fatty acids that are left over afterwards. That's not really a thing that exists within tea leaves, but it does work reasonably well within an oil. But just like with Extra in his video for the beard balm, you are going to run the risk of some separation, maybe some settling because it is a heavier weight particle, which means it's not fully dissolving. So it's not really oil soluble. That said, if you want to use it and you want the better price point, yeah, putting in a preservative isn't the end of the world. But if you really want to make sure that you have an oil-based, obviously Brambleberry is an option for that. There was none with making cosmetics, but there are other websites out there like herbery.com that I think has an oil-based green tea extract. A lot of options is the point. For me, I would want to go with a website that is basically dedicated to doing things in the aromatherapy and the herbal realms with cosmetic formulations. Making cosmetics is going to be one of my go-tos just across the board because they are very, very meticulous with all of their record keeping. I like that. I appreciate it. It's one of the reasons why I love Mad Micah's so much. For the literal same reason. They are very meticulous with their record keeping. For Botanical Extracts, New Directions Aromatics really does kind of tick all the boxes for me because it is very, very fastidious in all the record keeping, has a lot of different options of extracts that you can play with. The price point is decent, and if you're working with something like a dry extract versus, a liquid extract, it's telling you exactly how you're supposed to work with it, so you're not left with any confusion or questions in the middle of making, any sort of product. That said, I basically only just touched on 3 different websites out there that you can get, your extracts from. I would stay away from Crafter's Choice. I would stay away from Wholesale Supplies, any sort of subsidiary of Wholesale Supplies, not because it's bad, but because the information that they have out there, just because they have such a huge catalog, I have found to be inaccurate a whole bunch. Like the number of times that I've screenshot or taken pictures of the actual stuff that I have and their cast number isn't lining up with the actual cast number for a product and having to add, it's a moment. I don't really want to trust them with something like an extract because the whole oil versus, water solubility can be tricky if you're dealing with a product that is all oil based or, vice versa. So just keep that in mind, when you are going for all of your extracts and where you're going to be sourcing them. If you guys have ideas on extracts and websites and, reputable places that you quite love, obviously drop them in the comments below. I'm always happy to check out your websites and, when we can share information and do this together, all the better. I love it. So I'm going to go. I hope you guys had fun with all of this. Sudsers, obviously, an extra big special thank you for you to be here and exist and all the things. I am continuing to build that spreadsheet and I'll have it up in the Discord soon for the membered Sudsers. You guys can check out my cheat sheet of extracts and all of the jazz if you are so inclined. And yeah, we're just going to kind of play catch up with all the questions that we've had so far, answer some of those, and make sure that you guys are well on your journey to understanding extracts, how to use them in your products, where to get them, all the things. So thank you for joining me. I will see you guys all again tomorrow for another round of Botanical Extracts Soapy Fun. Bye.